Hello, 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 hello. It is Thursday. It's 8:10. I know we're a little bit behind. You probably wondering where they at. Where's the real money coach at tonight? Listen, we were working on some things on the technical side and the back end, but guess what? We're here and we're live, and we are so glad that you are with us as well. Please, by all means, put into the chat where you are watching from, what city, what location. Tell me something good. I'm excited tonight because we have a couple wonderful guests that we've been working with over the last, really a few months now, but real closely over the last 6 weeks or so. They're from California. You're going to enjoy them. And so, listen, man, what a great time. I do have to tell you this. I'm so excited about where we are as the Real Money Coach, and just all the different things that we've done over the last, really, just over a year. It really even hasn't been a year and a half yet. And so we're excited. We're excited about people like Dr. Bonita Harris, who is with us tonight, and she's with us almost every single Thursday night. Her and her wonderful mom, Ruth Bell, there she is, right on time. Listen, love engaging with you guys on this show, love engaging with you on Facebook and all those types of things. So listen, we are just so pleased that we have so many people that tune in each and every week. I am going to bring on my co-host, my wife's best friend, my close friend, our partners for, we've been friends for over half our lives, easily. So I'm going to bring on Michelle Mitchell onto the stage with me. Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
Hey, Tony. Good afternoon.
It's evening. It's 8 o'clock, girl. It's almost time to go to bed.
It's time to go to bed. You're right.
Hey, Alice Martin, good to have you. Listen, let me tell you, Michelle, as you Chad, go blue, right? All right, that's my man Chad from Columbus, Ohio. Brave dude in Columbus, rooting for the maize and blue. How's that, right? So he's a marked man there, so we have to keep you in our prayers, brother. Listen, Michelle, as you know, Elise and I celebrated 29 years marriage this last Sunday, right?
Yes.
And let me see, how long have you and Tony been married? Oh, we got married the same year, 29 years, right?
Yes.
So
6 weeks apart, actually.
6 weeks apart.
Yeah.
You guys got 6 weeks on us.
Yeah.
So Elise and I went to Charleston, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I know many of you who may be listening from the Carolinas, many of you have been there, but it was so educational. I mean, it was great just to get away for a couple of days, but to go and see that city and the history. And we happened to take a tour with a gentleman named Godfrey and the Gully people, Gully Geechee. And he showed us all the different parts about the city that many people don't want to remember. But it was the place where 40% of all the African slaves that came to America came through Charleston, South Carolina. And just to see some of the trees that are still standing there that still have the blood stains from hangings on escaping, and auction blocks all the way through the city, and these all the wrought iron doors and or gates and all that were really meant to keep the slaves in. And it was quite a historical event. Thank you, Alice. So it was quite a historical experience to go on this particular tour. And so I would just recommend it. I do recommend it to anyone. Go down there. There is some great food in that city. And
sure it is.
History and that type of thing. And so we stayed right in the historical district, but it was a great time. So next time you guys are down here, we might have to slide down there and spend a couple of days in Charleston, South Carolina.
I'm all for that.
Ruth Bell says, great city to visit. That's our stomping ground. All right. Well, before I go next time, I'm going to make sure I talk to you and find out exactly what we should be doing. And so like I mentioned, it was a great time.
Nice.
Tonight, Michelle, we our theme really is about financial education and the importance of financial education. We have some members of the San Joe and Quinn. I always kind of mix that up, but they're from Stockton, California, and they are part of the African American Chamber of Commerce. Okay. And one person is Naji, the others Luetho Seawood. And they're going to be joining us tonight, and we're going to have a conversation of why they felt like financial education was important enough to have us doing some virtual classes for them. And I know you've done a lot of classes. Why are you passionate about financial education?
I am so passionate about financial education because people aren't aware really of what it takes to get their finances in order. It's not hard, but also it's something you have to create a discipline with. But that's what's going to help get you to the next level. I'm also very passionate about financial education as it goes with women entrepreneurs, because I know the impact that it has on your children. Like, I would have never guessed by me starting my own business when my children were younger, how it would impact them now as they are becoming adults. And they just have a very different mindset about what they can do. And, yes, they went into college and got their education, but their possibilities are more than just going to get a job to work for someone else. And I mean, it delights my heart. My son turned 27 today, and he just told me a couple weeks ago that, Mom, I want to be able to employ other people. I want my friends to have jobs. That's what his business is about, is to help his friends get jobs. So financial education is very important, especially when you have a business, because if you have bad habits in your personal life, you're going to bring them into your business life. And, we need to get that in order. So you can.
So how you run your personal finances is how you're going to run your business.
Oh, absolutely.
And so,
especially when you start.
Yeah. And having that separation, we always talk about separating, the importance of separating your business finances from your personal finances. Yeah. And, we always say that you and your business are one, except for when it comes to your books, right? And so that's where the separation needs to take place. Yeah. And, how you do something is how you do everything.
Everything, exactly.
Yeah. And so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And so let's a big shout out to all the women entrepreneurs out there, and us brothers too, just trying to hold it down, get our business going, getting our things running as well. And so I like you mentioned, I'm just really quite passionate about it, and becoming more and more passionate about it because, I just see it as such an important part of what we're doing. Yeah. And so not that everyone's going to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone's going to be a full-time entrepreneur. We're not saying that. There's important to have some people that maybe are not, right, that are fulfilling those roles,
right?
But
you do need the workers.
Let's become the number one employer of our people. Let's become the number one employer of our own people. Let us do those types of things. And so I'm excited about it. Hey, listen, Adele Ryan is tuning in from Greenville, South Carolina. Thank you, Adele, for being here. Thank you for some of the great spots you told us to check out in Charleston. They call it the Low Country, So I don't know. You're going to have to explain that to me one day, Ruth or Adele. Why do they call it the Low Country? I need to know. So, but in the meantime, listen, let's bring on our first guest, Miss Luetho Seawood. She is the president of the San Joe and Quinn African American Chamber of Commerce. Luetho, how are you this evening?
Hello, how are you, Tony?
I'm good. I love your energy each and every week on the class. You always got that smile and just sharing your experiences and that type of thing. And so I'm glad that you were able to join us today. And it was on a short notice. We gonna give you, like, but you were willing to be here because we had a guest
Yes.
that wasn't able to make it at the last minute. And so we like, man, let's have our people from Stockton, California on. And you guys were so gracious to do that.
Yes.
My first question for you is, tell us first a little bit about yourself and what your role is with the chamber.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Lou Ethel Seawood, and I'm from Stockton, California. And I am the president of the African American Chamber of Commerce of San Joaquin
San
County.
Joaquin. All right.
Yes, and my role there is, as I said, I am the president there. And a little bit about me: I'm retired. I retired as a federal manager from the Defense Logistic Agency right here in San Joaquin County, in December of 2018, after 33 years of service.
Wow. 33 years of service.
Yes.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And
Thank
so you
you.
retired and decided to get another job.
Well, my passion has always been, my passion is my gift, I should say, is to help people. And so getting involved with the chamber, it was like, first I looked at it as to kind of help my business, but then I realized that the help was really needed for the community. And so as I began to get involved, I realized that there wasn't mixers and certain things that was missing. Is like, what can I do to help this? And so my first year there, I was I just kind of observed. And the second year, they voted me in as the event coordinator because they wasn't holding mixers and things like that. So I said, I can do this. And so from that, being the event coordinator for a year, it's like, we need a president. And so one thing that I've always been able to do is I've been a leader all of my life, I should say. And in my professional field as a Defense Logistic Agency manager, I was a supervisor there with them, a manager for 25 years of that 33 years. So one thing that I do know how to do is to bring people and to lead people and the right personality for people. So some leaders you have, you have made leaders where they create themselves, and then you have born leaders. And that's the difference. So I've always considered myself a born leader, that I'm actually able to be there, to really be there for the people.
Wow, that is awesome. So congratulations on that role. I do think you're well suited. I mean, just I think maybe I don't know. I don't know if it's been a year that we first met, when Carl Davis had a number of the African American chambers together for a meeting, and Marlon and I were invited to participate in that meeting. So tell me from that standpoint, and that, maybe that was 9 months ago, maybe it's been close to a year. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I can't recall right now. But what made you guys decide that you wanted to do something in the financial wellness, financial literacy area? What was the driving factor to kind of say, hey, let's offer something here?
The driving factor for us, where we're in the middle of the pandemic at this point, so it's been about a year. I kind of looked through some paperwork today, and it kind of went back to about, I would say, April, May of last year, when we started talking. And it was in the middle of the pandemic, we realized that the Black business owner, small business owner, wasn't able to access capital. And then we started looking at it, but why not? So in putting together our checklist, we soon found out that their paperwork was one of the key pieces that was not lining up.
Yeah.
And so from that, getting their paperwork in line, and not only that, if they wasn't accessing capital and the bank wasn't lending them money, what was the problem? Some business been around for a long time, and they did not have the revenue that they needed to continue to grow during the midst of the pandemic. So even with that, and talking to some of the new startup business, and realizing that the capital just was not there, and the knowledge behind it was not there. So as Najee and myself began to listen to you all talk on the meeting that we were on with Carl Davis, we realized that, hey, this is something we need for our community. Because I was born and raised in the South, in Arkansas, and I was listening at you earlier talk about some of the things in the South. So we wasn't raised, our parents didn't have money.
Mm-hmm.
We lived from day to day, from paycheck to paycheck. My dad was a farmer and that type of thing. So we wasn't really that used to money. But as I began to get my first job, I made, I want to say $2 and something an hour.
Yep, I remember them days. Yeah.
Yeah. So, realizing that if I could save just a little bit of that, and I've always had a mind to save.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in carrying that information and that plan in my mind, that if I save this, eventually I won't have to struggle for this.
Right.
And I just carried that throughout into my marriage life. And we went overseas for a while, came back. So when you guys was talking about this, I pondered that in my mind. What can we do to help the community? And immediately after that, that next month, our church had a segment on financial literacy.
Wow.
And it was the same type of problem, because we treat money as it's bad, not something
Mm-hmm.
that's good.
Yeah.
Right. And Michelle, I know you can kind of relate to that, because, sometimes we in the church have talked about money as though, it's the evil, but it's not. It can be used
Right.
for good. And
Money is just
oftentimes
a tool.
it's just a
It's a
tool.
tool, and
It
you tell it what
it
to
is.
do. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And it's all about breaking the cycle.
Yeah.
Anytime, I'm the type of person that when I find something good and I'm excited about it, I just want to tell
Tell
somebody else about
everybody.
it. Let me tell somebody else. So, from us, when we got to California, my husband was in the military at the time. Once he got out the military, first thing we did was we got to buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
And then as our kids began to get older and they had very decent jobs, it's like, you need to save for a house.
Mm-hmm.
And so, put in that there and instill in that and within them that, hey, you have to have property.
Yes.
And that's what's going to save you from every young person that came on at the distribution center where I work. The federal government, if you put in 5%, they will match you up to 5%.
Mm-hmm.
When
Yeah.
they sign on, I met with every one of them and said, put in 5%. Well, Miss Seawood, I don't want. No, you don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in.
Yeah.
And so, mentoring someone else and getting excited about it. And then they realize, wow, I have money. I had an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Seawood, I could take money out and I could do this. Yeah, and put it back.
Right.
But you share, because we as adults, somebody has to break that cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. The generational curses and
Yeah.
generational, and we can call them curses or we can call them habits. You can put whatever label you want to on, but that generational struggle, we have to break that chain.
Yeah.
We have to break
Yes.
it. And it begins with this. It begins with a mindset. It
Yeah.
begins with a mindset. It begins with proper management of your current assets. And so I'm kind of just feeling like doing something here tonight that I haven't done. So we have these 4 pillars of intergenerational wealth that we believe in. And the first is proper management of your current assets.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I have you two ladies on the screen, that's one pillar.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to give someone advice, and we're talking about budgeting, we're talking about credit. If you were to give our listeners some advice in terms of how to properly manage what they have now, right? What advice would you give them tonight?
I would say, 1, don't spend everything you make. My dad told me that when I was a kid, and whatever little money I would have, I would never spend it all. So my siblings would always come to me like, Michelle, I know you got some money. Yes, I do, because I didn't spend it all when we went on vacation. I kept some of it. So that's still true in my adult life. I do not spend everything I make. Second, never get into debt where you can't manage it. Like some people in our younger life, we was like, oh, we can get credit, blah, and got into debt, and life changed, income changed, and you don't think about that when you're young and you have debt. So those are the 2 things I would say. Never spend everything you make, and don't get into debt where you can't manage it. Always think about you're losing that income to service that debt.
Awesome. Lou Ethel, what would you say to our listeners tonight?
I would say if you're working right now, make sure you take something off the top, because if
Mhm.
you don't see it and it does not
Yeah.
come into that paycheck, you don't have to worry about putting it aside or going back and get it. So if you can save 10% right off the top, or even have $50 going out of your paycheck over to a savings account, just do it right off the top. You don't have to worry about it. You won't see it.
Mhm.
And then if you lock that down where you can't touch it for a few years, then you stop and think, I really didn't need that in the first place.
Mhm.
So you will begin to manage that. And my next point, I would say, learn to say no.
Expand on that a little bit.
Learn,
Speak a little.
learn to say no. When you're in the stores and you're in line, every store you go in, someone want to give you a credit card.
Mhm.
You
Mm.
have to learn to say no, even if it says you'll save 10%. Figure 10% of what? $20? What is 10% of $20? Are you really serious? To run my credit and mess my credit up? You
It's
know,
no,
when you learn to say no, you're able to have something, because that's one less bill you have.
Yeah.
And even to people, just, family members, people that come up to you, hey, can I borrow $50 to next week? Well, if I give you $50 now, what are you going to do next week about the $50? You learn how to say no. And then, as I said last week in our class, get into their business. Why? What do you need $50 for?
Yeah.
Well, what did you spend your money on?
Mhm.
Last week I saw you with this. When you learn to say no, you can actually have money to save for a rainy day.
Mhm.
that is awesome. That
Yeah.
is awesome. Learn to say no. So that's our first pillar. Our
Mhm.
next pillar is proper insurance and investments. Proper insurance and investments. And so, to our listening audience tonight, what advice would you give them in the area of insurance and or investments?
I would say start as soon as possible. Like yesterday was too late. So start now. You know, it's it's never too late, but the sooner you start, the the better it is. One, insurance is cheaper the younger you are. Two, investments take time. And to compound interest, you need time. So the sooner you start, the more compounding you can have. The sooner you start with insurance, the cheaper it is and the more you can get, right? And you never know when there's going to be a health issue that will cause you not to be able to get insurance when you say, "Oh, I'll get it later." You know.
Ah, very,
Yeah.
very, very key. Because I tell people that all the time. Of course, you know that insurance. I thought you was going to say call Tony. I thought that was the first thing that's going to be. But one of the things that I tell people often is that how insurance people say, well, you might walk out of that. You might walk out and you might get hit by a car. You might die. Da, 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 and all those things. And all that's true. But what we see more often is you not being able to get the insurance that you
Mhm.
really want because of a health situation, or
Mhm.
or it could be one prescription, or it may be you procrastinated too many years, or some of those types of things.
Mhm.
So I think that was very good advice. I couldn't have said it any better myself, Michelle. So Luetha, what about you? What would you tell our audience tonight in terms of insurance and or investments?
Well, if I had to talk about the insurance part of it, I would say learn to show the true meaning of love. When you really love someone, you want to make sure that if anything happened to you, that they are taken care of. And
Mhm.
that starts by having that insurance. And if, as
Mm.
Michelle has said, when you have that insurance early on, you're actually able to get a good value uh, uh, on your dollar amount for your health insurance or life insurance, whatever it is, at that age. When you wait longer, you don't have that opportunity. And when you love someone, you can actually set it up that if you go home today, I'm not going to even say tomorrow, today, that your loved ones will be taken care of. They're not stuck with all the bills and washing cars and doing all of this just to take care of you. Love is an action word. You show me. and you show me in every single thing that you do. And then on the investment side of it, as I said earlier, I started investing every single time you get a paycheck. You put something aside. It doesn't have to be a lot, just something. So that if you want to save up for that big item that you have, save now and then you stop and you look at it later, you will have something.
Mhm.
Those are very, very good. This is rich, man. I hope we're recording this. This is
Right.
awesome. I love this because, I mean, we haven't rehearsed this. We haven't talked about this. And you guys are just saying it from your heart. And I think that's so important. And some of the things that you were saying, and I talk about this even in my book where, I quoted someone that says that, it should be called love insurance.
Mhm.
Because the main reason people buy life insurance is because you love someone.
Mhm.
Right.
And you want to do that. Of course, we know there's a lot of things. There's great wealth that can be built in there. There's cash value that can be, there's a lot of tax advantages as well. But I love that, if you love somebody. So now we kind of come back and we're going to revisit something again. So the third pillar of intergenerational wealth is real estate. Real estate, owning real estate, whether that's your personal real estate or whether that's investment property, commercial. So real estate is the third pillar of intergenerational wealth. What would be your advice to our audience in terms of real estate?
The sooner you get it, the better, because it builds equity. It builds equity, and you can start small. You can start, like, stop trying to live beyond your means. Like, get what you can afford at the time, the whatever down payment you have, or if there's a program that's going to help you with down payment, whatever, just get into a property, because over time it builds equity. And the equity in that property, especially when the market goes up like it is right now, you can sell it for a gain and then move into a larger place that you really desire. It could be your dream home or something. Same with investments. Let someone else pay for your investment and you build the equity in it. That way, over time, it begins to compound, and before you know it, you're sitting on a gold mine.
That's awesome. So be in the long game, right? It's not all about, and I think sometimes we over purchase, right? You've heard of people being house poor,
yes.
Because they have this tremendous house, but they don't have any money because it's all going to the house. So I love that advice. Start where you are and work your way up to where you want to be. And each time you make that move, gaining in equity, but soon you'll be in your palace. So Luetta, what would you tell our folks tonight? You mentioned the first thing that you and is your husband, is it Ron?
Leonard.
You and Leonard did is you bought a house. And
That's correct.
Share with us again your ideas about real estate.
So when you look at real estate, the thing, if you really want to get someone's attention that is paying rent right now, take them to a mortgage broker and have them to look at a house and then talk about how much that person is paying for to own the house compared to renting the home. Because when you're renting, 9 times out of 10, you're paying more money to rent that property that you would never own compared to paying mortgage on something that is yours. So that's the whole key that you look at. This is mine. And the benefits that comes with that falls right in line with the tax write-off. So in a rental property, you have no benefits.
Right.
No.
In a home, you now have benefits.
Yes.
That you can actually share with someone, your family. If you need to take money out of that equity, you have something. But if you are renting, every nail you put into that wall, you would never own it. And the landlord can come up and say, next month, I need you out of this house. So
Right.
now you're moving and you're losing money because now you got to pay first and last month rent again, security, and all of this. So you're losing money.
Yeah.
It's just make more sense to have real estate of your own, something that you can share.
Yeah.
That is great advice. One of the books that we love to recommend is The Richest Man in Babylon by
Mhm.
Clausen. And in that, it just talks about the feeling of having a roof over your head, a place that you own, that
Mhm.
you go to, that's yours, and
Yes.
the satisfaction that comes with that. Because some of the things that we're talking about are not dollar signs, right? But
Right.
it's understanding. We're saying, if you have life insurance, you have the assurance of knowing that if something happens to you, that your
Mhm.
loved ones are going to not
Right.
suffer financially.
Mhm.
Another thing that I kind of put in those first two categories in terms of insurance and proper management is having a will,
Hmm.
having the proper estate things in place so that if something does happen to you, your family's not having to deal with probate court and all the expenses, and
Right.
average probate is like 9 months, and that's
Mhm.
just taking that grieving period, and you're just really just kind of putting
Mhm.
salt in the wound, and
Mhm.
you're stretching it out both from a time standpoint and a financial standpoint.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so those are all very important things. Now, I have a feeling on this last topic that both of you ladies probably can talk for a little while. So we got 20 minutes, so we ain't in no hurry now. We're not in a hurry. But the
Ooh.
last pillar is business development, business ownership. Because here's the thing that we say. We say you cannot pass on a job. Now, I can have a job, a job, and I could be on the executive floor,
Mhm.
but when my time to retire, most likely, unless I'm the owner of that business, I can't say to my son, no matter how wonderful he may be, here, son, you can have this job when I retire.
Right.
Right.
I can't pass on a job,
Mhm.
Right.
but I can pass on a business.
Mhm.
Yes.
And so, what is your words tonight to our viewers who are watching about business ownership or business development?
My words tonight about business ownership and business development is that one, you can have, like, a lot of people want to have these side hustles in business. They have the side hustle, um, but they also have a side hustle mentality too. But also, when you own the business, you're like creating something from scratch. You're creating a thought that's in your head that's actually generating um, value for someone else who pays you for what you have created, right? Also, with that, is that, you know, if your business becomes, sustainable, you are set up to bless someone else with a job. That is my job, is to give someone else a job. I talked about that with my son and his business. Like, you are blessed to be a blessing. And as a business owner, that blessing is to give someone who doesn't have a job to do something in your business to help it grow. And in return, you are the shareholder and you get the profits,
Hmm.
right? When
Hmm.
you're running that business profitably, you as the owner get the benefit of receiving shares or profit shares, right? And that is the thing that, one, you can pass on, and two, like, you can hire your other family members in the business if you want to. I'm not always saying that's a good idea.
I'm glad you went there. I'm glad
Yes,
you did
I'm not always saying
that.
that's a good idea, because sometimes mixing family and business is not a good idea, and that's a good way for you to be out of business. But if you're serious about business, it could be a way to help elevate, a family member as well, but it's something that you own. And then if you do it properly, when you're ready to exit, I'm not even going to say retire. When you're ready to exit, you have a sellable product that you can sell to someone else. And there you go. You can cash it out. So there's a lot to owning and developing a business, but also having a side hustle is not bad either, because you never know when that side hustle is going to catch on. But also you can get tax deductions just because you had a side hustle too. So
well, there's a whole lot of tax benefits.
A
to
whole
having
lot
your
of
own
tax
business.
benefits.
And there's a lot of different businesses out there that you can have, and you have your home base, office, and those type of things that you can get those write-offs and all those types of things from. So that's real good advice. That side hustle needs to be organized and set up like a
organized
business.
side hustle. Right.
So let's stop all this, jack leg stuff. Let's do it right.
That's right. Because when the pandemic hit, the people who had side hustles could have qualified for the benefits that the federal government sent down, but because you didn't have that thing in order, you couldn't get it.
There you go.
Right. And now you're out on the outside looking in.
Exactly.
You're outside looking in.
Exactly.
And so that's very, very important. And one of the things that you talked about, and here's the scary thing, is that we know that the majority of businesses do not make it to the second generation.
Right.
And then it's even fewer that make it to the third generation. But at the same time, I've seen this where the next generation takes that seed, that business that was started as a seed, and maybe it was small, and been able to then interject scale into it, and next thing you know, it's becoming even larger. And I tell people this too, just because if you have a child or grandchild or relative that you want to pass the business on to, but they're not interested, well, they can still be the owner.
Right.
They don't have to work in the business.
That's right.
They don't have to manage
it. So, I think it's honorable. And I always pray that, Lord, I don't want to be the end of the blessing. I want to be a conduit of the blessing. Let the blessing flow through me, not just to me.
Right.
And so,
right.
As the president of the Black Chamber, I know that you got something rich to share with us in terms of business. And we're seeing you guys do great things out there. I can't wait to make it to Stockton to see you all at some point. So share with us, what would you tell the inspiring business owners tonight, or maybe even the seasoned, whatever the Lord puts on your heart to share?
Well, I mean, for me, I've listened at everything that you and Michelle has talked about, and you're definitely spot on. When you look at business ownership and business development, it's having that passion behind it. When you have so many young people that say, I can't do this, I can't own my own business, and I'm simply saying, what is your passion? I see you doing this all the time. Only thing you have to do is allow us to work with you and to help you to grow that. So as Michelle has said, those people that got stuck and was not able to get financial resources when the pandemic hit is because of the hobby may be good and you're getting tax write-off, but at some point you have to line that business up. So what I'm telling them now is stop bootlegging your business. Stop bootlegging your business and run your business like it's a business. So when you look at that business ownership, take ownership of it. And if you don't take ownership of it, someone else is going to step in and see what you're doing, and they're going to steal your idea because you did not go down and get that fictitious business license. You didn't get that name set up where you are the only one that have that. And then just start taking baby steps. Go and get your business license. Within the last, I want to say 3 weeks, Tony, we have had at maybe 10 businesses that came in, and we're talking to them, and I'm sharing the same thing. Leave the hobby alone and stop bootlegging and go down to the city and get your license. And they come right back, and they got licensed that day because at that time, the city of Stockton had a grant out, entrepreneurs grant, where you could not apply for that money unless you had Stockton business license. You
Mm-hmm.
had to have license in the city. So that was a way to stop them from bootlegging their business and then start helping them to line up to say, hey, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have the resources that's needed, then we have other avenues there where we can assist you with. But they have to have a passion. If you
Yes.
really have a passion about what you're doing, that's a business.
Yep.
Well,
My motto is bridging the gap between your passion and your profits.
I
There
was
you
just going to
go.
say your
Yes.
thing is turning your passions to
Passion
profit,
into profit. Yeah.
Yes.
monetizing it,
Uh-huh.
Monetize.
and understanding. And there's a lot of ways to monetize. I mean, we talked
Yes.
about sometimes all the tax breaks that you get.
Mm-hmm.
Talk
Yes.
about a number of different things. And here's the thing that we understand is that many people are working 2 and 3 jobs
Mm-hmm.
just to make ends meet.
Yep.
Well, listen, you could be working that second job, you could be working for yourself.
That's
Exactly.
right.
You could be working for yourself.
Hmm.
If you do basket weaving, then
Right.
then sell it. If you
Right.
crochet, whatever it happens to
Whatever
be,
your passion is.
whatever your
It could be
passion is,
walking dogs
Yes.
or boarding dogs or
Hmm.
but turn
what
that
cooking.
passion
Yeah.
into a
Mm-hmm.
profit,
Mm-hmm.
That's
not
right.
not into a business, but into
Mm-hmm.
a profitable
Yes.
business
Yes.
where you're
Mm-hmm.
making money, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And we know that money is not the end all be all,
Mm-hmm.
but try to survive without it.
That's
Right.
right.
And you'll find out really quickly how important money is in our
Mm-hmm.
society. And so I love that. I love doing this. This was kind of fun. And for those of you who have been watching and following our show, you may understand that when we bring the Real Money Coach, and let me just remind you what real means. Real is relevant, educational, actionable, and life changing. That's what the acronym REAL is. Real Money Coach. We are really attempting in most weeks that we are in one of these areas that I mentioned tonight. We're either going to bring you something that has to do with your current management of your current assets, right? Either the budgeting or your credit or some of these type of things. We're gonna be in that area, or we're going to be talking about something that has to do with insurance or investing, or we're going to be talking about something that has to do with real estate. We've had realtors, we had mortgage brokers, we've had the young lady that came on and talked about just saving your homes when the moratorium runs out on some of these things that came out of COVID. And then we have business development, where we're either highlighting someone that is very skilled in business. We had a couple of Michelle's, Julie, and some Kathy, and some of
Mm-hmm.
those who came on to share, who are business coaches. We've had great entrepreneurs come. And so each week we're trying to bring you something in one of these 4 areas so that it can be enriching for you. And so how fitting that here on the fifth Thursday of the month, we kind of had Michelle, who's been with us and has been a great co-host with me. And then we had Louetta Seawood, who is the president of the chamber out there in Stockton, the Black Chamber out in Stockton, California, and just went through those 4 areas and shared with us their insights on how these 4 pillars of intergenerational wealth, how they see them and how they fit. And I think they gave us some absolutely awesome advice. So I want to bring them both back on. And I want, Michelle, let's start with you, Michelle. I want you to share your contact information, share a little bit of how, if someone's listening, how they may be engaged in your services. And then, Louetta, I want you to share a little bit about the chamber, and maybe even anything that you got coming up that people could participate in.
Sure. You can all reach me at my website, which is mitchellconsultingservice.com. There's a lot of resources there. You can follow me on Facebook at Mitchell Consulting and on Instagram at Mitchell_consulting. And, coming up this fall, I'm going to be doing a program called Begin with Profit. So it is perfect for people who are wanting to take that side hustle and set up structures in your business so that you can have profit. Our goal is always to generate profit. So we will talk about some of the pillars that Tony was talking about in your business with begin with profit, and laying the foundation first with your mindset, then with your entity structure. So setting up your entity structure. Then we will talk about how your personal finances affect your business finances and how you should separate those. And then start looking at what you're providing as a service or a product and being able to price it for profit. And then following up with that, with teaching you how to have a CFO day so that you can review all of your financials so that you know that you're being profitable on a weekly basis. So that's just some of the information I have.
Stop bootlegging.
Stop bootlegging, right? Yeah,
And get some real books. Get some real books.
Get some real books. I can
and stop bootlegging it.
Exactly. I can put it in the chat for Chris to post if someone wants to get on the waiting list for that. But it's coming up in the fall, and it's 90 days. But you're gonna be right come January 1st.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Luetha.
Okay. Okay, I'm Luetha Seawood, and I can be reached at the African American Chamber of Commerce of San Joaquin County, and the email address for that is aaccofsj@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, which is the same thing, aaccofsj.org. And right now, we actually, within the next 3 minutes, we will be on a financial literacy class that we are actually in the midst of. This is class number 4 of 6 that we are holding tonight. And Tony is our presenter. And the other thing that we're working on, our scholarship tea is coming up. We like giving back to our young people. So we have a scholarship high noon tea coming up. And a new program that we are working on right now is called the TL4T, Training Leaders for Tomorrow. And this is dealing with the young people and high school, those at-risk youth that's within the city, and also helping those that's in the women's shelter, trying to help them to get back on track and letting them know that, hey, today is not over. Your life is not over. It's only the beginning. Don't let what affects you right now state who you are in the future. So we look at training them, working with them, getting them back on track, and everything that we can to make them better. What can we do to help you? Even having interview classes for them, teaching them how to write resumes, and to be able to not only teach them that, but give them the tools that's needed to dress for success. Having a clothing store where they can come in and just get something that they could take back for free and to be able to go on good interviews. So that's part of what we're working on. And we are definitely looking for, the chamber is really ran off of membership and sponsorship. So you could definitely be able to help the chamber by just joining as a member or even sponsoring us. Just taking on one of the program and contribute, donate.
Well, thank you so much. That's absolutely awesome. And it's been another great evening. Thank you all for listening and being a part of it. And, if you picked up something tonight, put it in the chat box, how you felt about the ladies tonight. And I thank you, Adele. I know Adele already put something in there. Thank you, ladies. And so it's been another great experience. It's been another great experience. And it's good to kind of continue to do this and get refreshed and renewed each week. And so next week, folks, we are going to have Miss Kimberly Hines Winborn as our guest. And our topic is going to be debt detox. And again, I encourage you to order that book. It's called The Debt Detox by Kimberly Winborn. It's a 31-day debt detox. And it's more than just debt. And she'll talk about that next week, but she's going to be our guest on next Thursday. And so we're looking forward to that. And again, I'm headed to California virtually. Thank you all for being here, and we appreciate you.